Yo, what is up, guys? You're watching Epic Pokemon TCG, and today's video, guys, what I got for you, we're going to be taking a look at a straightforward Lost March deck. Now, Lost March is a deck that came out, and whenever it first came out, like the early stages of it, had a lot of hype around it. And honestly, like, just because like the expectations are so high, I feel like the deck didn't necessarily live up to it. But at the same time, if you were to ask me, hey Dylan, do you think Lost March is a good deck? I would tell you, yes, I think it's a very good deck. And with Unified Minds and Unit Energy and stuff like that, you could do a lot of really crazy things with this deck. You can like make different variants and such of it. Which I actually have another variant I'll be doing here. If this video does well, I'll make sure to upload that ASAP so you guys get another look at a Lost March deck. Yeah, before we hop right into it, guys, remember, we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed already, guys, make sure to do that. Hit that like button if you do want to see that other Lost March deck. But we're going to go ahead and hop right into it here, guys. Take a look at Jumpluff here. So it has the attack Lost March. Obviously, what this does is going to do 20 for every single Pokemon in your Lost Zone except for Prism Star. So unfortunately, as great as Ditto would be in this deck, because Ditto would be a amazing card, yeah, we're not going to really get much help out of it, which sucks. I've played Ditto in this deck before. And honestly, I played a couple games, took it out. It just it seems really good on paper, and then you just realize that okay, I can commit this spot to something else. Yeah, so jump up for Lost March only takes a single grass energy and is actually pretty easy to get it out, especially with Elm's lecture and stuff. So yeah, this pretty much is this whole deck is going to be geared towards trying to get Pokemon in the Lost Zone, hit for Lost March, do a ton of damage. And one of the easiest ways we're going to be getting not one but two Pokemon into the Lost Zone with an ability is going to be Skiploom. So Skiploom has Floral Path to the Sky. Once during your turn before you attack, you may search your deck for a jump off. And then you put this Pokemon and all cards attached to it in Lost Zone. So that means your Skiploom and Hoppip are going to both go into Lost Zone, just increasing your damage output. So that means that Lost March is going to be able to do a little extra damage. I hope you guys aren't hearing this. I'm adjusting my headset. But anyway, so yeah, Skiploom is just going to basically allow you to throw some Pokemon in there, search right out for Jump Off, which is really nice, and then yeah, you just go from there. And with Elm's lecture, it's going to be very easy to get this out. And next, we're going to take a look at Hoppip. The only reason I'm mentioning Hoppip right here, right now, is because of Tackle. Okay, with how big HPs are now, you never know, guys. You might be short some damage. I'm going to talk about this more with Mew because I feel like that's a little more relevant. But if you're short some damage, remember, guys, you have Tackle if you need to fall back on it. If you're using Tackle, it's probably not going well in your favor, but yes, that's definitely an option. Next up, we're going to take a look at Trumbeak. So Trumbeak actually serves a few purposes in this deck. The first one, of course, is going to be the fact that it is a disruption card. You can, of course, get rid of some supporters with Mountain Pass. Pretty much, you just look at the top card of your opponent's deck. And if it's a supporter card, you get to put it into the Lost Zone. And also, Trumbeak will go into the Lost Zone, which actually perfectly translates into the second thing I'm going to talk about. Trumbeak will allow you to just do some more damage with Lost March, obviously, just like a free card to pitch in there. But also, if you do not hit a supporter, so if you don't hit a supporter, you still get to look at the top card of your opponent's deck. So you get some useful information. You never know what they might be getting, and so you can just kind of plan for that. Maybe they're getting like a specific card or something. Either way, guys, it just gives you some useful information to see what your opponent is getting next turn. But yeah, Trumbeak is a very helpful card. You do play 4 of them in here, so that way you can just immediately pitch into the Lost Zone. And even if you know your opponent doesn't have a supporter card, you can just keep doing it. That way you can increase your damage, which is really nice. And the last Lost March Pokemon we're going to take a look at is going to be Natu. So yes, it does take 2 energy to use this attack, but there's a big thing I want to mention. It is a Psychic type Pokemon. It does the same exact thing as Jumpluff, okay? It's just a Psychic type. And there is a very popular Pokemon running around right now, and that is this dude right here. Dudes, whatever. Anyway, Mewtwo and Mew GX, of course, is weak to Psychic, and you never know when that might come up. That is actually a pretty popular card, I would say. Very good card. So yes, Natu is going to allow you to not only have another attacker to use, it can also hit stuff for Psychic weakness, which is really nice. And yeah, Natu is a pretty good little card. And let's see, the next thing we can take a look at, I guess, will be another attacker in here, which is going to be Kartana. So Kartana has a pretty cool attack. The first one here, Big Cut. If you have exactly 4 prize cards remaining, this attack does 120 more damage. So for 1 grass energy, you can do 130, which is really nice. And it is very searchable with Netball, which is really cool. I don't ever see why you would use False Swipe. I don't know. First off, it's a flip attack, and then secondly, you're committing 3 energy to a 70 HP Pokemon. I don't know. That just seems like a recipe for disaster. I've unfortunately had to do this in a game. You just flip a coin, and then if heads, you pretty much just put damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon until the remaining HP is 10. This actually might work pretty good with Mew, but at the same time, I feel like those energy could really go somewhere else. It also has a free retreat cost, which is really, really nice if you just, if that needs to happen. Just remember that Kartana has a free retreat cost. And let's see, I guess we're going to take a look at Mew here. So I talked about this briefly with Hop Hit, but I feel like with Mew it's a little more of a relevant here because you can hit anything. So HPs are huge, okay? HPs are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger as time goes on, it seems like, and damage. So yes, you're going to have games where you don't necessarily one-shot a tag team GX. It can happen with this deck. It can. I promise you it can. But there are going to be times where you might not do it. So your opponent might have some stuff sitting on their bench that's really heavily damaged, and that's where Mew's going to come in. So obviously it does have bench barrier. This is just going to protect your bench Pokemon. I think I just made up a word, protected. I don't know what I just said, but it's going to allow you to just pretty much protect your bench Pokemon. And then Side Power, you put 3 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like. Now on paper, when you just kind of look at it, you're like, okay, 3 damage counters, But when you start factoring all kinds of other things, like the fact that Lost March, you can just get these really crazy numbers up, you could do different things with Side Power. You could soften up Pokemon if you played some matchups out and you're like, okay, I really need to try to get some early damage on this Pokemon here. You can finish off stuff, and it's just Mew's going to be a very helpful card. I talked about it with Hop Hit, but Mew can hit anything, so it's a little more relevant with this one. And overall, Mew's just a really, really big card right now. Very helpful. Next up, we're going to take a look at Emolga. So Emolga is going to serve a few purposes in here, just like Trumbeak, but Emolga, of course, is going to be a little different. So Nuzzly Gathering pretty much just allows you to search for a Nuzzle Pokemon. We do run 4 Emolga. So that means as long as there's an Emolga in your deck and you have one on the field, you can pretty much just search it out. So that's going to allow you to not only have a Pokemon communication target, you can thin your deck out, and you have a target for Lost Blender, which is really nice. So Emolga is going to be serving different purposes in here, which is pretty dope. And honestly, Emolga is a pretty handy card. It's really nice. The only other Pokemon, obviously, you're going to want a communication away is going to be Jumpluff. You do not want these in your hand, period. At all. You do not want them in your hand. You want them in your deck. And then we're going to round out with Dedenne GX. So Dedenne GX, honestly, is a fantastic card here because it just kind of keeps your plays going. So Dedenne Change, I think is how you say that. You play this Pokemon down, you pitch your hand, and you draw 6. So you could potentially be getting rid of some useless cards, or maybe you have like one card in your hand you just don't need it anymore. Because you do play your hand size down pretty much with this deck. I mean, if you have a good hand, you just kind of play it down. There's a lot of stuff in here that you can pitch and get rid of. But the Dedenne Change is just going to allow you to kind of keep your plays going. It's going to keep your deck to be a little more consistent, which is really nice. And that's why that's in here. And so that's going to do it for the Pokemon, guys. We're going to get into the supporters here. We have Forsythia. You just get a little hand refresher. Pretty nice there. And then we have Professor Elm's Lecture. This is a big card in this deck. Search your deck for up to 3 Pokemon with 60 HP or less. That means you can search out Hoppip and Skiploom. You could also search out Mew and Natu. But yes, Elm's Lecture is just going to allow you to pretty much search out your line to get into Jumpluff, which is really, really nice. If you open with this card, it is very helpful, or if you just draw into it and you have some Hoppip, well, get ready because you're about to have some Jumpluff. Very great supporter. The next thing we're going to take a look at, of course, you do have Pokegear. You have a couple of those if you do need to draw into it. But we also have Lost Blender. You put 2 cards from your hand into the Lost Zone if you do draw a card. Getting back to what I was talking about with the Emolga, if you just want some more Pokemon in there, you can Nuzzly Gathering and just add one to your hand, Lost Blender it away, which is really nice. That's just really good. Also, Trumbeak is a potential target for this card too. If you do want to just, like, let's say you have already done the ability for that turn and you got like an energy or something like that on the top of your opponent's deck, and you're like, okay, I want to draw an extra card. You can pitch a Trumbeak. I mean, it's essentially the same thing. Usually, I try to pitch the Trumbeaks like as soon as I see them. But the next thing we're going to take a look at is going to be Pokemon Communication. This is a very, very important card in here, guys. Okay, not only is it a searcher, but it's going to get those Jumpluffs out of your hand. I cannot stress how important that is to get those out of your hand. You do not want those in your hand. You put a Pokemon back, search for a Pokemon so you can get a Dedenne to keep your plays going, but also you can just get rid of those Jumpluffs, which is really nice too. If you have a Skiploom and you have a Jumpluff in your hand, you can Pokemon Communication away, use Skiploom's ability, search out Jumpluff, go from there. Pretty nice. We also have Shrine of Punishment. This is just going to allow you to do some more damage. Getting back to that numbers thing, guys, Pokemon have massive HPs now, and just having like just even a little extra damage is going to be really helpful. Also with mute as well, you can just kind of start racking up some damage, which is really nice. Shrine of Punishment is a very handy card. And then we have custom catcher. You can pull stuff off the bench. Again, getting back to the number thing. Maybe you didn't finish off your opponent's tag team GX. You can custom catcher it back up, or you can use the first effect here to draw until you have three. Never know. And then we have Netball. Search your deck for a basic grass or a basic grass energy card and put it in your hand. So you can search out Hop Hip. You can search out your energy to use Lost March. This is a super flexible card. Really nice. And then I think that's everything besides the energy. Of course, we do run 7 grass energy because we do need to attack with Lost March. But yeah, that is the deck, guys. The strategy is very simple. You pretty much just pitch Pokemon into the Lost Zone, so that way you can use Lost March. You have Kartana to be another attacker. Moga is going to allow you to do some cool things. Mew is going to be in there to kind of snipe and pick stuff off. Natu is, of course, going to be in there for the psychic weakness, and then so on and so forth. Yeah, that's going to do, guys. Hope you did enjoy the video. This deck is a lot of fun. This deck is actually pretty consistent, I would say. This list has been tweaked, and I've talked to a friend of mine about it, and just, yeah, there's been a lot of thought going into this one. So if you guys did enjoy the video, you know what to do. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all the support, guys. Take care. I love you, and this is Epic Pokemon TCG, signing out.